All right, welcome back to TribPreps. The regular season is over.
Yep.
In Wisconsin. Still have a little to go in Minnesota, but had some big games tonight. We'll talk about them in just a second. Sports editor Todd Sommerfeld. We have James Krause here with me tonight. I'll hit the score list real quick. We'll start in the MVC. Central 34-26 over Logan in a game that James was at. Holman, 5th win in a row, 24-6 over Reedsburg tonight. Onalaska finishes off an unbeaten regular season for the first time since 2004. Tonight, 49-20 over Toma. Baraboo 35-7 over Sparta. Moving to the Cooley game I was at, West Salem 28, Aquinas 14. A really big game that a lot of people around the state were looking forward to. GET 50, Arcadia 14. Westby 27-12 over Altoona. Black River Falls 24-22 over Viroqua. Scenic Bluffs, Cashton 34-0 over Onalaska Luther. Big margin of victory there for the Eagles as they win the outright championship in the Bluffs. Bangor 41-6 over New Lisbon. Non-conference game involving one of those teams. Iowa Grant 28, Brookwood 0. Dairyland, Blair Taylor wraps up second place in the Dairyland 49-8 over Oliva Strum. Marlis Medoro gets a 27-7 win over Whitehall. Over in Stick in Wisconsin, 8-man game tonight. Belmont 32-20 over DeSoto in a game that was 2 conference unbeatens going into that one. And then over Minnesota, La Crescent Hoka 42-26 over PEM. Caledonia 46-14 over St. Charles. So let's start with your game because it's the ARC.
Okay.
The ARC is big here in lacrosse. That was a tight game, 2 teams that had to win to get a chance to get into the playoffs. By the way, we find out all the playoff pairings on Saturday. So we'll have that kind of stuff up on lacrossetribune.com as soon as we have it. But let's talk a little bit about the ARC tonight. How did Central pull this out?
Yeah, this is one that, like you said, came down to the fourth quarter, and these are 2 teams that have really struggled to finish off games, and tonight Central was the one that was able to sort of break that bad habit and get a good finish. 2 turnovers they were able to force in the fourth quarter that really helped them out. They got the lead on a Jude Alvarado touchdown run with about 6 minutes to go. And then Antoine Hardy, who's a guy you and me have kind of talked about all year as being a guy who just seems like a really good leader to that defense. He got the Peanut Tillman punch sort of on Eli Reynolds on a rush on the next drive, and that set up another Central touchdown to make it an 8-point game. And then finally Boston Brindley a pick with about 2 minutes to go to sort of seal the game for Central.
That kid's a ball magnet.
Oh yeah, man. He had a 76-yard touchdown catch in the second half as well. He was all over the place for Central tonight. A really good way to end the regular season. They are technically on the sort of bubble for the playoffs. They're not guaranteed anything, but they've got a shot.
Yeah, that's all they were looking for in this game. Well, they wanted the ARC.
Oh yes, absolutely. So. I mentioned to you the 3rd time this year that I've been at a game where the fans have rushed the field at the end of it, and it was for technically an away game for them, but obviously a lot of fans in attendance from both teams.
So how was the experience of your first ARC game?
It definitely, I talked about it with John Papadopoulos from ESPN, and it felt like, a big college game in terms of you've got 2 huge sections of their respective fan bases sort of coming together in one spot. Definitely exciting. Definitely a lot of people that didn't care that it was, below 40, didn't care, what the weather was. They were going to be out there.
Okay. And it helps to have a competitive game.
Excuse me.
And you got all of that in that game.
Oh yeah.
I was out at UWL, the game people have been talking about since before the season started. West Salem and Aquinas. Both teams, Aquinas comes in undefeated. West Salem had won 7 straight coming in just to set the stage for it.
Only lost to Onalaska, right?
Yeah, so 1-point game down Alaska. And it was a game of big plays in the first half. Jackson Flatmeyer had touchdown passes of 60 and 73 yards. Brett McConkey had an 87-yarder to Chris Calico, and Aquinas had a 14-7 lead. That's what went to halftime with. Nobody really, like I said, they were hitting the big plays. Nobody really establishing a whole lot more out of that. But everything changed when they took the field for the second half. West Salem came out with a 12-play, 83-yard drive, I think it was, that took 7.5 minutes off the clock. That was partially by design, partially just kind of the flow of the game. They wanted some longer drives to keep Aquinas' offense off the field because it's such quick strike and high powered. So that drive really, it tied the game and really gave West Salem something to build on there. It changed significantly after that, excuse me, because Brennan Kennedy had an interception on the second snap on Aquinas' next possession, and he didn't just pick it off at the 35, he ran it back to the 2. That set up Luke Knoll for a second touchdown of the night. He had the first one on a 10-yarder, and this one he had on the 2-yarder. And this is just, right after they tie the game, so that's 2 quick touchdowns. Aquinas gets the ball back again, another defensive stop for West Salem, and Aquinas comes back with a punt that only goes 19 yards. And that gave another short field to the Panthers. So they had 3 touchdowns in a span of about 6.5 minutes of this game. It just completely changed the look of the game and excuse me, the feel of the game for both teams. Flotmeyer, I think he had 148 passing yards, and he got to that number after the first half touchdown pass to Moline,
where he had 2 big throws.
Yes. After that, completed 1 pass the rest of the way for no gain, and it turned into a fumble that West Salem recovered. He didn't have anywhere he dropped back. He didn't really have anywhere to go with the ball. The Kennedy interception was big. He threw another one later that Kennedy tipped and McConkey intercepted. They had Damian Lee open downfield for a split second, and Flotmeyer went for the throw, and that was down around the 10-yard line, I think. So he threw it a long ways, and it just got tipped by the defender, and like I said, McConkey came down with it. So things really changed and went their way. I think I went through and did the play count in the second half. West Salem ran 52 plays in the second half. Wow. Compared to Aquinas' 16.
One of my questions to you was going to be, were you concerned at all about the second half from Aquinas? I know you hear 2 interceptions from Flotmeyer and you think, well, that's an area for concern, but they're also, like you mentioned, 16 plays in that second half.
Yes.
And they're going against a team that was more than their equal, So was there anything that makes you worried going into the playoffs for them?
To be honest, I think it sounds, people talk about it. I've never liked when people say, a loss can help you. They wanted to win the conference.
Right.
Both teams did. But I think this gives Aquinas a different perspective, especially after going through last season undefeated. For some of these kids in the varsity, it's their first taste of defeat. And now they're going to find out on Saturday where the playoff game is, and they're going to know they can't go in there, excuse me, and not give it their 100% and just find a way to win. I think that's one thing that'll show that. I still, if I was another team, I wouldn't want to play Aquinas in the tournament. It's going to be a tough matchup. You have to have somebody that can run with Conzemius. Flotmeyer is not going to have another game like this. He played a good first half, but a tough second half. And Tom Lee, Aquinas' coach, was talking about self-inflicted problems that they had, but he also said West Salem helped us along with those as well. So it was just a really, really good second half by the Panthers, and just what they needed, I think, going into tournament time here. So we said Luke Knoll 3 touchdowns in that game, and then Calico had the big catch where he just kind of got behind the defense. McConkey, just a solid game in that one, as we've come to expect from him. So
right.
In terms of the rest of what happened, a really big game for Tanner Jones, 289 yards. He scored 6 touchdowns tonight. Everything for Bangor in that big win over the Rockets. La Crescent, any win is big in La Crescent. They got another one here tonight over PEM, which was a good team last year. Caledonia still came back from the loss to Chatfield, gets back on the winning track. Good finish to the season for Blair Taylor to get second in that conference, I think, and and winning by 40 points tonight certainly helps them going into the playoffs. GET with another 50-point night. Can't say enough about Cashton.
Yep.
34-0 win over Luther, which is a team that was right there with Aquinas in the fourth quarter this year, right there with Bangor last week. Cashton didn't care. Cashton did Cashton things. Lots of rushing yards and big plays in that one, it looked like, from what we got. So,
Second straight conference title and first outright since
98, I think. I think it was 98.
Wow.
98, 95. It was 95. I think 98 they shared it. 95 they won outright. So a significant win there for them in that one. What else? I think that was about. I mean, Melmin closing out the season with a win. They were in a really tough spot early in the year.
They won 3 of their last 4.
Yeah, so that's a good finish for them. Onalaska, first time since 2004 they've had an unbeaten regular season. I think everybody knew Anna would be a good team and the team to beat in the MVC, but weren't really expecting this. And to go out and score 49. Skifton had a really big night in that one. So, but you can read about that and Holman too. They went up 17-0 on Reedsburg, and Reedsburg entered the night second in the MVC. So a big win for the Vikings. But you can read about all that stuff on lacrossetribune.com. We'll have a lot more up on Saturday as pairings are released. We'll find out who's going where, who's in what division. We have some teams on the bubble there, not just to get in, but in terms of what division they're going to be in. So we'll have updates probably throughout the day on that at lacrossetribune.com. You can see all of our videos from Friday nights, the reaction videos like this, videos from our games, all at lacrossetribune.com. And well, like I said, we'll have regular updates. We'll have some UWL stuff tomorrow. They start playing again, so that's your portal to find everything we do here. So go to lacrossetribune.com to stay on top of these football playoffs and any other postseason. And thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.